Good afternoon. Welcome to the first virtual South Summit. Yeah, virtual. Well, I'm not sure this is really virtual because this is so real, as you're going to see today. We have an amazing lineup of people that you're going to find this summit to be probably more real than a lot of the shows and entertainment like entrepreneurship events that you've been to. Before we start, I got to share something with you. Today is such a happy day for me. I just got my results. Yesterday, I went to get my test to see my antibodies. My antibodies are off the charts, 9 out of 10. So I can tell you, this for me is like a rebirth. And I'm grateful for, probably most of you know that I did go through the virus, and I'm really grateful for being out of it now. And my, whole purpose right now is to be able to help people feel better about this whole era that we're going through. So what a better way than now start with a not virtual, but virtual real South Summit. So to get going, let me introduce you to the body and soul of South Summit for the last almost decade. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Maria Benjumea.
Hello, Paris. How are you?
I'm good, feeling like a newborn.
Yeah, I'm so happy, yes, to be here with you and with all of you, because I want to say a big hello to all our friends around all the world. And welcome to Madrid. Welcome to our beloved Spain, and welcome, as you have said, to this new initiative, to this virtual South Summit that we've launched together with IE University, our partner in crime since the very beginning, since we were born as Spain startup in 2012. Do you remember Paris 2012? It was one of the deepest, for us, the deepest crisis. But in that crisis, what we saw was opportunities, and above all, the belief that entrepreneurs and innovators were key to recover our economy. And here we are in another crisis, but this one is much sadder because this is a sanitary crisis. And with lots and thousands of deaths, marvelous people. And I want from here to send a warm hug for all the families, for the whole families, and a big thank you to all the sanitaries, to all of them, and the people that have helped us to be, as we are, as you are, and me, alive. And this is going to be a very terrible crisis. And I think that the only way that we can go through it, that we can overcome, is just all together, joining forces.
We can't hear Maria.
All the economic players, with the startuperos, with our ecosystem, with all the governments. It's important to work hand by hand. It doesn't care the color. What we need is to work hard, with heart and with conviction, all together, because we have to save our economy, our society, as much as many employees and the wellness of our society. So we have to work together, but we have good things. We still see, of course, in crisis, opportunity. And that's why we are here, aren't we? We are here because we believe that this ecosystem is incredible to generate with networking, being together here, lots and lots of opportunities. And I need to thank, first of all, to our king, Felipe VI, because he is our president of honor since the very beginning of Spain Startup in 2012. It's a big support for the ecosystem and for the society. I want to thank all our partners that since we started, they have really made possible South Summit to succeed year by year. There is BBVA, is Google for Entrepreneurs, Telefónica, and Fundación Telefónica also, and Endesa, Sabadell, Ferrovial, Amadeus, Iberia, Mutua, and of course, el Ayuntamiento de Madrid and its comunidad. really absolutely lucky to have a jury for more than 25 people from all around the world, the very important investors, reference funds, and corporates searching for innovation through startups. You are going to choose the winner that will come to South Summit in October. And this is our challenge. The first challenge is health and well-being, the one we are going to celebrate today. And this is going to be the first challenge of a series of 6 that we are going to, they will be taking place week by week till the 2nd of July. And I want to congratulate the finalists, 7 finalists chosen in between more than 200 that proceed from more than 40 countries different. So I think that I don't want to speak anymore, because I think, Paris, that what we need is to let the party start and going together after Juanjo to make business and identify all opportunities and network it as much as possible.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, so you heard the boss. We're going to celebrate because we're celebrating entrepreneurship. Now, she brought a very important point. When she did this in 2012, the whole society was asking, why entrepreneurship? And then they got it because it was right after a big crisis. Well, this is the same crisis that we're going through now. So our next guest that's going to say a few words is the representative of IE Business School, the chairman of the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center, Juan Jose Güemes. Juanjo, you know, you and I are probably some of the 2 people that travel the most at IE. And, you know, we travel around the world, and in particular, we're spreading the word of entrepreneurship, along with Nacho, who's, you know, recently been in charge of this. IE Business School runs about 20 venture days all over the world. Now, I don't know about you, Juanjo, but I want my life back. I want to see what it feels again to be sitting on an Emirates plane, you know, looking out the window and seeing the wing. What do you think, Juanjo? Tell me. Microphone. I think you're muted.
Sorry, Paris.
Yeah.
I promise you will get your life back. We will be soon traveling, and you will have the chance of meeting old and making new friends all over the world. But in the meantime, let us make the most of our capability to connect globally through a university's war room. We can't put on hold entrepreneurship and innovation. Indeed, we need startups more than ever to find agile and scalable solutions to the new challenges that COVID-19 outbreak has brought. In just a few weeks, the world has turned upside down, and we see radical changes in the way we work, in the way we talk to friends, in the way we exercise or learn. And the quarantine will pass, but many of the lessons that we have learned, that we're learning in these weeks, will remain forever.
Quickly, Juanjo, I mean, everybody is emphasizing healthcare now. And, you know, we all know that you have had a lot of experience in healthcare even before IE. What do you think the new norm in healthcare is going to be?
I think that health tech is the new fintech. If you remember, the fintech revolution took place after a very deep financial crisis that has changed the financial industry, and that has helped to financially include 1.2 billion adults worldwide. And today we are experiencing a public health, a global healthcare crisis, and I believe it is a call to action for innovators and startups that are providing innovative solutions to the challenges we are facing. Many of these innovations will remain to make healthcare delivery more efficient in the Western world, and to give access to hundreds of millions of people who today are left behind. So I think that this is time for innovating and starting up in the healthcare industry more than ever.
Okay, thanks, Juanjo. I want you to look at all the screens here. We've got what, almost or over 30 people here between the juries and the contestants. And I want you to look at Juanjo. I don't know where he got his haircut, but how did he get someone to actually give him a haircut during the lockdown? You can tell us that later, Juanjo.
I'll tell you, yatepeino.com.
Yatepeino.com.
Yatepeino.com. I think it only works in Spain, but 18 euros. Very good, very efficient, fast,
Yeah, well,
nice people.
I'll have to look them up after this. So our final guest, before we start the pitches, is someone truly special, not only to South Summit, because he's been with us since the very beginning, a very, very close friend of Maria and mine, but also because he's such an integral part of IE University. He's the president of the Wellness and Happiness Center at the university, and he's a person that's been influencing and impacting people for many, many years. I love the quick story about him. He used to be a surgeon. And as a surgeon, one day he was helping a lady, he had cured her, and she said to him, you know, doctor, why don't you cure not one person at a time, giving them hope and, you know, a desire to live, but millions of people at a time? Why don't you become an author and speak at conferences? Well, that surgeon did exactly that. And 8 books later and hundreds of conferences around the world where he's helping companies and individuals, here he is today. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming a very close friend of IE South Summit and most of us here, Mario Alonso Puig.
Thank you so much, Paris. Good morning to all of you who are on this side of the world, and good afternoon to all of you who are connected on the other side of the world. When I had my clinical practice as a general surgeon, I had a very, very special patient. Her name was Daisy. She worked in a firm which worked in the field of mergers and acquisition. She was a 52 years old lady, blonde woman, who came to my clinic, and she looked to be in a lot of suffering. So when she sat and started to tell story to me, she told me that she had been suffering from gastric pain for the last 3 years, that her life was miserable, that she had gone through a lot of doctors before seeing me, and that they had performed a lot of tests on her. They couldn't find anything, and she was put under a very strong medication, which is called was called omeprazole. Omeprazole is a medication that really dries completely the stomach. The acid that the stomach produces is very, very weak, so it couldn't cause any kind of pain. But nevertheless, she couldn't find any relief from that medication. So in this in this long pilgrimage, she was looking for another opinion, for somebody who could help her in any possible way. When I went through all the exams and I saw that she was under the most powerful medication at that time, I really felt helpless. How could I help that woman? Why? Because I was trapped in the old paradigm. In the old paradigm, thinking inside the box, the problems of the body are caused by some problems in the body. And when we go through the medical training, the medical school, if there is pain in your stomach, you have to perform several tests. And if you cannot find anything, you just place the patient on some medication, hoping that this will cause any relief. But that old paradigm doesn't offer us as clinicians any other way of treating these patients. So I was in front of that lady, not knowing what to do. But then, remembering Steve Jobs, the dots were connected within my mind, because I had been studying the connection between the brain, the mind, and I asked her a question that really puzzled her. Daisy, I would like to ask you some questions. Yes, doctor, go ahead. First, is there anything in your life that really troubles you apart from this gastric pain? So she started to think, and she said to me, no, doctor, I have a good family, I have a good relationship with my husband, with my kids, I earn enough money. No, there's nothing really serious or troublesome apart from my gastric pain. But I wanted to dig deeper. Are you sure about that? Nothing at all throughout the day? It doesn't have to be something big, but something that really creates in you some level of anxiety, of tension. Well, doctor, she answered, now that you ask, there's something, yeah. It doesn't have any relationship with my pain. I said, okay, that's okay, but tell me, what is this kind of situation that really creates in you this level of anxiety? And she answered, well, I cannot stand my boss, Doc. You don't know how he is. He's a nasty guy. I said, okay, Daisy, listen to me carefully. You're going to do something just for 2 weeks. It's going to sound very strange to you, but you have to trust me. Okay, doctor, go ahead. Tomorrow, Friday, when you go back to your office, and for the next 2 weeks, you will start smiling at your boss. She looked at me and said, doctor, what are you talking about? My boss doesn't deserve that. I said, well, Daisy, it's not for your boss, it's for you. I will not feel it. I said, you don't have to feel it, just fake it. I said, doctor, what you were asking me is so strange, it doesn't make any sense. I say, well, Margaret, Daisy, you are right, it doesn't make much sense, but it's the only thing that I can offer you. You're under the most powerful medication. You have gone through a lot of tests. I cannot order more tests. So she left, and I thought that she couldn't return to my clinic again. 2 weeks after that first interview, she returned to my clinic. She was a completely different lady. She had a smile on her face. She was like enthusiastic and said, oh my God, what's going on here? So she sat down and I said, Daisy, how are you doing? Doctor, you wouldn't believe it. When I left your clinic, I was so puzzled. I thought you were crazy. And I don't know why I decided to follow your instruction. The next day on Friday was so difficult for me to smile to my boss, but as time went by, it became easier and easier. And you know, a lot of things had changed. First, my boss is a different human being. It has been transformed. I cannot understand how, why. But the most amazing thing, doctor, is that I don't have pain in my stomach. I don't have any pain. How is it possible? Well, dear friends, we cannot understand what happened with Daisy, Margarita in Spanish, if we follow the old paradigm. What happens in the body is related to something that is inside the body. This paradigm comes from René Descartes in the 17th century. He was a very famous philosopher, but he made a mistake, of course. It's very understandable. He thought that the body and the mind were separated. They were not even interconnected. And this is something which has caused a lot of problems, because we have contemplated the body as an isolated entity, and we have forgotten the connection with the mind. This is the reason why nowadays technologies like mindfulness-based stress reduction is used to calm the mind, so that when we achieve this serenity in the mind, it has a profound impact in how the body works. This is the reason why some of the most advanced labs in the whole world are studying how self-control has a direct impact in pathologies that go from infectious diseases to malignant tumors. But there is another element which is crucial in the new element, in the new paradigm. which is the heart, the soul, how we relate with each other. A lot of studies, scientific studies about gratitude, about empathy and compassion have found out, have discovered that these elements that belong to the soul, to the heart, have an impact in how the body works and have an impact in how the mind works. This is the reason why in this new paradigm in which the body, the mind and the soul are deeply interwoven, interconnected, are offering a lot of opportunities to help people to improve their health, their sense of well-being and their happiness. But in these current times, we shouldn't forget the fourth element. The fourth element is absolutely essential because the fourth element offers a lot of possibilities to impact in a positive way our body, to impact in a positive way our mind, and to impact in a positive way our soul, our heart. This fourth element is, of course, technology. Now, technology is being used in many places in the world, in many research centers, in many hospitals, at many universities, to develop methods, processes that help us be healthier, be happier, and be a much better human beings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mario. Now you know why he's heading our Center for Wellness and Happiness at IE University. Okay, so let's talk about the competition now, because we're about to start. Before that, what I want to do is thank the over 20 or so jury members from all over the Spanish industrial spectrum when it comes to healthcare and wellness. We have some amazing companies here, and we're really grateful to the fact that they're with us today. We have 7 startups. As Maria said, we have over 200 applications over the last few months, and we have picked 7 companies, startups that we believe are amazing. And you now are going to be able to listen to their 3-minute pitches. The way this is going to work is that each startup will be given 3 minutes to do a pitch, and then we're going to have 2 minutes of Q&A, a little more maybe, from the juries. And they will raise their hand and we'll get them to ask some questions, and then the head of the startup, the entrepreneur, will be able to answer. Okay, so with that, let's begin. Our next startup is from Spain, and it is represented by Eduardo Jorgensen. This startup has developed a needle-free smart patch for painless drug delivery through the skin. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Medicen.
Good afternoon. I am Eduardo Jorgensen, medical doctor and CEO at Medicen, where we have invented a needle-free smart patch for painless drug delivery through the skin, a device that has been awarded by MIT as the Spanish Innovation of the Year 2017. We founded the company because needles are a pain in the ass, and 80% of the users are consistently rejecting them. But we still use 16 billion shots per year. I learned about this when a little girl with diabetes rejected the insulin shots in my hospital consult because she had to take 3 shots per day, over 1,000 per year. So we invented a small piece of technology that can open micropores in the skin. It works generating harmless sound waves that increase the size of the natural pores in the skin, creating a big channel for drugs to go through and closing again once we stop the device. And we built that piece in a wearable smart patch that can be used with multiple different drugs, insulin, heparin, antibodies. In a typical use case, it is refilled by the user with traditional drug syringes like insulin pens. It is placed on the arm or the abdomen, and when activated, it takes less than 1 minute to fully deliver the required amount. And we get a painless, wearable, and reliable drug delivery device, which is a significant improvement from what's already out there because the current devices are not solving the main needs of the user. What the users are asking are ultrasound smart patches. We have protected our intellectual property. We have validated the device in vivo with preliminary results in pigs, decreasing glucose equally to insulin injections with our patch. And we have raised 1 million euros since 2015, also securing strategic partnerships throughout the world for manufacturing and distribution. We have a wonderful team with 15 professionals, including engineers from NASA and MIT, and a healthcare team that grew up in Roche and Philips. The business model is oriented through a monthly subscription direct to consumer for 100 euros a month, including monthly shipment of the disposable components to be recharged. And we also envision agreements with the pharmaceutical industry with preloaded cartridges or specific agreements for specific molecules. We're currently in a bridge round for 400,000 euros, of which we have covered over 50%, and we will close it in June, oriented towards finishing the miniaturization and completing the animal trials by the end of the year, which will leave us in the position to raise 4 million euros through a Series A, matching them with 3 million euros in public funding in order to obtain the CE marking and reach the market by 2023 with the Smart Patch. So we hope that you join us to shape the future of drug delivery and change the life of millions.
Okay, thank you. All right, Q&A. Anybody got a question? All right. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Paul? I got Paul here.
Yeah, this is Paul.
Yeah.
Yes, so thanks for the presentation, a very good one. With regards to there's only three big insulin players. Have you approached them already, and what's their initial feedback?
Yeah, so we've approached Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi, and we've also approached alternative drug delivery device, insulin delivery device manufacturers, and their main interest is that they believe this is a potential technology, but they will be willing to get in further conversations after we have finished all the animal trials and we're ready for human trials, which will be next year.
All right, thank you. Okay, Martin, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know how was the IP protected?
Yeah, so we own the IP. We built this from scratch, from the basic science, and we have protected. We have currently this month filed an EPO patent that's covering our miniaturized ultrasound generator, the setting that it's increasing the skin permeability, which took us 3 years to research in vitro, and the wearable integration of the components, because it was impossible until now to have a wearable device with sonophoresis.
All right, thank you. We're out of time there. Thank you. Okay, and now let's go for our second startup. This startup is from Austria, and it is represented by Fadi Haddad, who's head of business development. What they do is it's an AI-driven tool that helps patients better understand their health data. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Medicus AI.
At Medicus, our mission is to help people understand their health. The easiest way we can showcase that is by looking at the current way medical reports are being delivered to patients. This report is filled with cryptic data that the user cannot understand. We have decided to change that experience into something that is much more user-friendly. So how do we do that? We have built a comprehensive platform, starting with the foundation, which is understanding the data better. So we realize that one of the biggest problems in healthcare systems is that data comes in different formats and different structures, and we built a comprehensive platform that is able to understand data from different data sources. The second part of this comprehensive platform was our smart reports. Now that we have merged the data and we have a unified health profile for the user, we were able to deliver to this user full insights about their health in a very visual, very interactive way, including explanations about their health, including health tips, recommendations if they need to visit a doctor or not. The second part of this platform is our Smart Assist tool. Smart Assist is a diagnostic support tool where the doctor will be able to see suggested
conditions, suggested questions, and suggested additional tests to request for this particular user.
So this is a fully transparent tool. So we are able to show the doctors a complete decision tree of how did we arrive at certain suggestions or certain knowledge. Another part of our comprehensive platform is our smart coaching. The first step after you log into the Medicus app is you will have to go through the Medicus Wellbeing Quiz, which is a medical-based questionnaire that, in combination with your medical data, enable us to give you a well-being score consisting with your physical and psychological well-being. So we have developed so far 160 different programs that offer different diets and activity for the users. Finally, at the top of the pyramid is what we call our digital customized solutions. We are able to build specialized programs. So for example, one of the tools that we have built is our pregnancy coaching solution that understands the medical data of the pregnant woman, delivers that medical data to her phone, and also help doctors monitor pregnancies and detect any early risk of preeclampsia, or even run a pre-assessment for NIPT tests for the pregnant woman. Another tool that we had developed based on the same infrastructure is our Coviv app. Coviv app was developed by the team in order to fight the COVID-19, and currently we are deploying this application in multiple countries around the world. So all of that is enabled through our medical reasoning engine, which includes 22,000 knowledge graphs.
These knowledge graphs are based on the 4,000 unique medical sources that we use. This includes medical guidelines, medical literature, medical books, medical articles, etc. We have many partners around the world, including Roche Diagnostics and Ping An in China. Thank you very much. I look forward to collaborating with you.
Okay, thank you. All right, questions. All right, here we have a question from Israel Pons.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Israel Pons from Angel's Nest. We are based in Mexico. Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is, exactly where are you at? How many users have you got? And what is the next stage for yourselves?
You're mute. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, this is Fadi. Thanks for the question. So basically, Medicus is an enterprise solution provider, which means we sell to large diagnostics labs, and these labs would have 10 million patients or 12 million patients, for example. So currently, we are deploying with multiple providers in France and in the Middle East. So once this goes live, we would be at 20 million users by next year, for example.
All right, good. Another question. We got time for one more. Okay, Tanya.
Hi, hello. This is Tanya from Rivera Salud. Thank you for the presentation. My question is, what's your business model?
Very good. So as you could see, we have multiple products. And our products, for example, our first product is Smart Reports, which we sell to diagnostics labs, and that is per Smart Report. So every time a lab delivers a report to a patient, we charge per Smart Report. We have a decision support tool that is provided to doctors, and that we charge per case. So every time a doctor uses the tool to diagnose a patient, we charge them. So all of our business models are usage-based and not license-based, and that is giving the comfort for the customer ultimately that they're paying for what they're using from the solutions that we have.
All right, thank you very much. So moving right along. This third startup is from South Africa, and they are a company called Vula Mobile, and what they do, they have apps and online systems that help health workers help each other and their patients. Representing Vula Mobile is Dr. William Maypham, who's the CEO. Please welcome them.
Our dream is universal healthcare. My name is Dr. William Mapham, and my company's name is Vrula Mobile. We set out to solve the problem of poor communication between rural health workers and specialists. This is the road to my first job as a junior rural health worker. We were far from any medical center, and we did the best we could, but we had no access to specialist advice. This is me specializing eventually in ophthalmology. You see, I'm very, very busy seeing patients, teaching students, and the phone is ringing off the hook with people like me in the past trying to get hold of a specialist. So the solution was to solve the problem for both the rural health worker and for the specialist. That's why we created Vrula Mobile. It's an app that's free to download and use, and uses 25 times less data than WhatsApp, so it can work in the rural areas. It's designed to scale. It's currently available in 44 specialties and is used by 69 types of health worker. Every specialty has a unique portal with unique functions for those specialties. And the specialists and the rural health workers use asynchronous chat, which is more practical than typical telemedicine solutions, which require doctors to be on the line at the same time. In terms of traction, we're now used by over 12,000 health workers across 2,000 practices, and a patient is helped on average every 3 minutes. In terms of competition, we compete with the legacy systems such as faxes, emails, switchboards, bleepers, as well as non-medically compliant chat apps like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. So our advantages are that we are supported by the National Department of Health. We're designed to scale, we're increasing traction, we're evidence-based and legally compliant. Our business model includes advertising, software as a service, and data science contracts. Our advertising isn't random, it's highly specific to the conditions that are being talked about by the doctors. So all the adverts are actually useful. In terms of software as a service, we're being rolled out by the National Department of Health in South Africa, and we hope to have other departments following soon. In terms of data science, we've got contracts with 2 universities in South Africa already, and hopefully more in the future. We've put recent market validation with COVID. We helped set up the hotline for the public. So these are where public people can phone in, and rather than traveling to a testing center, can get the help they need remotely. We also used a crowdfunding campaign to help deliver equipment to doctors and nurses in need. Our team is diverse, and usually for a tech company, we're more than 50% female, and between all of us, we speak 12 languages. Last year, we won the Best Health App Award for South Africa, and we really believe that when all the constellations of health workers are connected, we'll bring the dream of universal healthcare closer to reality.
Okay, thank you. Questions, jury? All right. Let's see who that is. Marta, floor is yours. Can everyone make sure their cameras are on, please?
Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
Good. Thank you.
This is Marta from Banco Sabadell. Can you explain us a little bit more about your go-to-market strategy and how do you get the doctor in your app?
Yes, so the system makes the lives of doctors easier. So we start off with the specialist teams. So for example, my team was the ophthalmology department at a hospital in Cape Town. We came on board and we started using it. And then we tell all the doctors and nurses in our area that they must now use this system rather than making phone calls or trying to get hold of the hospital switchboard. So we start with the specialists and then we help them roll out in their areas.
Okay, next question. We got time for one more? Javier, floor is yours.
Yeah, very fast and very simple. I was just wondering whether this application would be also scalable, or are you planning also to use it as a platform for patients, not only for healthcare professionals, or you're going to stay in the healthcare professional area?
Muted. So we've been asked to add the patient portal. So during COVID, it became a necessity. So we're now available to the patients. It was on our roadmap, but it wasn't as urgent as it has been now. And in terms of scaling into other countries, we've now had requests from Sweden, Germany, Australia, outside of Africa, as well as Ethiopia, Malawi, and Botswana. So we look forward to expanding both in terms of geography and in terms of the way we work with patients and doctors.
Okay, I think we got time for one more. Diana, you had a question.
Yeah, thank you. So I was just wondering what the funds, how you plan to deploy the funds that you were asking for. I thought it was like 1 to 3 million euros. I think I see here. Yeah. So how do you plan to deploy your funds for expansion? How does it look like?
So if there's two main techniques. One is to improve the technology, for example, making it multilingual and available in more countries with more legal environments. We're currently compliant with Europe, USA, and Africa, but we need to do more than that, or going to the Far East, obviously with more languages there. And the other thing we need to expand is the commercial activities. So at the moment, we've got quite a few contracts, but we can do better. And we're busy raising money for a more commercial team.
All right, thank you. Okay, Dominic, quick question, please. I know you had your hand up. Dominic? Hello? Okay. All right, let's keep going. So, our fourth startup is from Germany, and it's represented by the CEO, Marvin Homburg. The company is a digital companion that improves employee well-being and productivity through personalized content, activities, and routines. Join me in welcoming Evermood.
Hey, I'm Marvin, co-founder and CEO of Evermood. But let's jump right into our presentation. We at Evermood believe that by putting together the best of technology and research, we can help teams strengthen their well-being to unfold their full potential. How do we do that? We transform science-based productivity and mindfulness techniques into activities that fit into everyone's workday, easily accessible from your smartphone. So what is the problem we are solving? Every year, 20% of all employees have already fallen ill due to stress, and more than 50% of all employees complain about work-related fatigue and exhaustion. Within the past 10 years, the number of employees suffering from mental illness has more than doubled, making workplace well-being the #1 priority for many companies in 2020. Especially in times of insecurity and social distancing, supporting the mental well-being of employees is more than important than ever. How do we solve this problem? Within the past 5 years, we've seen two types of startups in the market popping up. On the one hand, apps that provide meditation and mindfulness courses, such as Headspace and Calm, supporting you with meditation and similar courses in your free time. And on the other hand, one-on-one counseling services supporting employees in case of severe mental illnesses, such as Talkspace and Moodpath. Both are beneficial to the individual, but too niche to apply for the B2B setting. Instead, Evermood provides a proactive and preventive approach that suits the majority of employees' needs. As a daily companion, Evermood helps employees to integrate healthy habits into their workday. For instance, it reminds employees to do daily gratitude exercises, drink enough water, or go for a walk. Also, employees can choose from a great variety of proven techniques like guided meditations to refocus or de-stress from a hard day at work. Moreover, employees can track and share their progress, complete team challenges, and get notification of the latest news inside their team. And employers get an anonymous report of their team's activities to better understand how to evolve their occupational health management in real time. The B2B market of the workplace well-being is very diverse, so we see some direct and indirect competition, such as Virgin Pulse or Unmind. However, we've been able to win first renowned customers, such as Deutsche Bahn and the Bertelsmann Foundation. Our journey has started in winter 2019, and we've been able to triple our revenues within the past 4 months. We expect to reach 300K to 400K revenue this year and to raise a Series A in spring 2021. As of now, we are a diverse team of 8 people from all around the world, bringing together our professions in business administration, software development, communications, and mindfulness. I'd be happy to tell you more about our vision and the next steps, but as time is precious, let's head over to the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Evermood. Questions? All right, we got one right here. Maxine, the floor is yours.
Hi, this is Maxine from Nordzone. I just wanted to ask, like, how your vision is compared to.
Unfortunately, I cannot hear anything.
Can you other guys hear me?
Do you hear me, Evermood?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
All right, let's try one more time, Maxine.
Okay, because I can hear both of you. So, can you hear me now, Evermood?
Sorry, I can't hear anything. I couldn't hear all the other interviews as well.
But you know what? I'll just ask the
Yes.
question, and then perhaps
Yeah.
you can relay it.
I'll relay it. So tell me,
Okay.
Maxine.
So I just wanted to ask about the vision compared to like the bigger employee engagement platforms like Peakon, for example. Is the vision to make this a platform on its own, or to be like a feature in one of the bigger employee engagement platforms?
Okay, the question is, do you have a vision to be a platform on your own or to be part of other big platforms? And I think the example you gave is Peakon?
Yeah, or Glint, or any of those.
Or any of those big platforms. We can't hear you now.
So I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
So that's quite a good question, and that's something we ask ourselves within every quarter. We quite see a high demand for a platform that is especially focused on workplace health promotion. So we do see that we will be a provider as a big health platform, but what we want to do is we want to be able to sync with an open API that will have the possibility to communicate with a lot of other services, because we believe that we cannot own all the services in the market, but have to cooperate with some of the vendors that are quite specialized and have quite an interesting value to employees and to us as well.
All right, thank you. Paul, you had a question.
Yeah, you mentioned a bit of the competition, but what would you say is your single biggest value proposition with which a customer would prefer you over anybody else?
Okay, Evermode, the question is, what do you think, I mean, you talked a little bit about the competition, but what do you think is your biggest single value proposition over everybody else? Is that correct? Is that correct, Paul? Yeah.
Our biggest single value proposition is that we quite understood how we can cross the chasm between workplace and your private life. So what we really understood is what the issues nowadays workers have at the moment. So how they create a work routine that perfectly fits into their lifestyle, and it will give them the possibility to stay mentally fit. What we've always seen is that there are different scenarios that you don't know how to fit your, let's say, for example, yoga, meditation, or any other routine into your work life. And we found a solution to do it with ease within 5 to 20 minutes within your work time or in your free time.
Does that satisfy you, Paul? Anybody else have a question? No, good. All right, excellent. Oh, here we go. We got one coming here. Marta. The mic, Marta, we can't hear you.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
Now, Evermood, can you hear Marta?
No, unfortunately we can't.
All right, so talk to me, Marta.
Well, okay. My question was related with the previous one. Could you explain us what is your competitive advantage, and most important, why do you think it is sustainable over time?
The question, Evermode, is related to Paul's question. What do you think is your main competitive advantage? And do you think that's sustainable in the current time? We can't hear you, Evermode. Mute, Mike.
Sorry, the mic is always turning off. That's a very good question, especially with regard to the situation to COVID-19. We have seen some high demands with regard to this situation, and we quite think that working on stress, anxiety, and on different other topics at the workplace, so for example, fatigue, is something that is very, very important. And we have to find a solution here that pretty much moves from what is research and science-based into what we really can integrate into our work life. So I think that we really have a competitive advantage of transforming what is latest in research into what can everyone do on its day-to-day work.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, moving right along here. This next startup is from Austria, and it tackles with helping patients by developing a novel phage-based antibacterial and to revolutionize the treatment of bacterial infections. Well, they're probably going to explain a lot more about that because I don't have a clue. The pitcher is Alexander Belcredi, who's the CEO, and they're from Austria, as I said. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Phagomed Biopharma.
Good afternoon. I'm Alexander, CEO and co-founder of Phagomed. At Phagomed, we're revolutionizing the way we treat bacterial infections. Let's talk about the vaginal microbiome. The most frequent vaginal infection is called bacterial vaginosis. In bacterial vaginosis, or BV, pathogenic bacteria of the genus Gardnerella displace the beneficial lactobacilli that are so essential for a healthy vaginal microbiome. Bacterial vaginosis causes a whole range of health issues, ranging from depression to miscarriage, and it affects a staggering amount of women. 400 million women are expected to get BV every year. How do we treat this today? Well, we use broad-spectrum antibiotics that have two big challenges. First of all, they're only effective in about 50% of cases due to resistance and persistence. And the other problem is that because they are broad-spectrum, they wipe out the entire vaginal microbiome, the pathogenic bacteria and the beneficial lactobacilli, leaving this delicate ecosystem open for other sexually transmitted diseases, but also very frequently fungal infections. This is a prime space for more targeted therapies, and that's exactly what we're developing at Phagomed. To treat bacterial vaginosis, we have invented a phage-based recombinant endolysin, which very specifically acts against the Gardnerella bacteria by cutting open their bacterial cell walls. As you see under the microscope on the right side, just 15 minutes of treatment with our drug candidate completely destroys the pathogenic Gardnerella cells, while leaving the beneficial lactobacilli cells, in this case Lactobacillus gasseri, completely unharmed. This is a novel first-in-class therapy that has the potential to deliver very precise vaginal therapy. We invented this recombinant endolysin at Phagomed. We fully own the IP. It's highly differentiated from any other drug that is currently being used or in development. And just a quick back of the envelope calculation shows that this drug has blockbuster potential. We believe that there are many more indications, such as bacterial vaginosis, where a more targeted therapy can make all the difference. Our programs also include drugs to treat MRSA infections and E. coli infections, and it's all based on our Evolution Squared platform, which delivers highly potent and proprietary phages and lysins. Our biotech team, our leadership team, is highly biotech experienced, including 3 PhDs, and we have managed to attract some of the most published scientists in the indications and infections that we're dealing to be advisors on our scientific advisory boards. We successfully seeded the company with around 6.5 million euros in private investments and public grants. We are now raising an 8 million euro Series A to bring our bacterial vaginosis drug into the clinic, as well as to expand our pipeline of winning assets. Looking at comparables, an investor today can expect to make a 10 times return in the next 4 years. In the 21st century, we need more targeted therapies for bacterial infections. That's exactly what we're developing at Phagomed. Thank you.
Okay, Q&A. All right, who's got a question? Looks like we got a lot of interest here. Paul, talk to me.
Yeah, so typically one of the challenges with antibiotics is the high cost of producing it. So in terms of the manufacturing complexity, how would you
I would say
rate
it's
that?
average for a drug. It's a recombinant protein. It's expressed with one of the many expression platforms that's out there. And it's quite standard now to deliver recombinant proteins as a drug. So in terms of that, it's something that many CMOs can do, and we don't think it's exceedingly complex.
Okay. We had someone else. You have your hand up?
No. Yes.
Yes.
Clara.
Clara.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. So congratulations. I think it's a very, very impressive company, and also targeting a huge problem with the antibiotic resistant disease, but also quite a hard way to get to results. And I'm impressed by this. I wanted to know what else is there in the pipeline in terms of other targeted solutions, and also your patent portfolio. How is that being managed, and how many patents do you have already?
Mm-hmm. So we have a patent portfolio of 5 patent families, and that covers both the bacterial vaginosis program, but also platform and the other programs. So that is growing at the moment, but quite stable with regards to the drugs that we have. In terms of competition, the reality is the majority of things on the market and development are broad spectrum, which have exactly that problem, that they disrupt the whole microbiome, and that's the main differentiator of a targeted therapy. To our knowledge, that's a space that is extremely limited, and we definitely have the endolysin for that space.
Okay, thank you. Marta, you had a question.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I wanted to ask you, can you explain us which is the key milestone that you need to complete to enter the next phase and in order to raise interest from VCs?
So I think the key milestone is to show the efficacy, the selectivity, and then the ex vivo setting. So with a drug, typically showing it at the bench is the first step, but then the second step is showing it in a setting which is as close to the human as possible. Typically that's animal trials. Given that the vaginal microbiome is very specific to humans, we are working with vaginal samples to show that our drug works in the same environment where it is supposed to work down the line. So that's testing that's ongoing right now, but our expectation is that by the summer, we'll have those results, and that's one of the final stepping stones for taking a decision of whether we advance that into the clinic. And from today's perspective, that's a definite yes. And then it needs, the requirement is then more to fund GMP manufacturing and then the actual clinical trial.
All right, thank you. Juanjo, you had a question. Your camera's off. Juanjo? Okay, moving right along. So this next startup is from the USA. They're into the development of late-stage preclinical therapeutics against a novel, untouched target to universally treat all breast and ovarian cancers. It is represented by the Chief Science Officer, Scott Robinson. Join me in welcoming MicroQuinn.
Hello, I'm Scott Robinson. I'm the founder, president, and chief science officer of MicroQuinn, and we're developing the next generation of treatments for cancer. So who is MicroQuinn? Well, we're primarily an oncology biotech company with late-stage therapeutics. We're hoping to get into clinical trials in the next 12 months. We have a novel, untouched intracellular target that is critical not just for cancer, but non-cancerous diseases, and we're the winner of 2 technology and space awards. That's right, I'm working with NASA and the ISS to do development of our work both on the ISS as well as on Earth. In fact, this is what our pipeline looks like. We have a variety of assets that work across all breast, ovarian, and uterine cancers, and also we're developing those assets out in lung, colon, prostate, and across other cancers as well. We're also looking into collaborations and developing our pipeline across that, with collaborations into neurodegenerative disorders and viral treatment. So what is our target that's giving us this potential? It's BAX inhibitor 1. It's a misnamed regulator of the cell. It does so much more than just inhibiting BAX. It's predominantly found inside the cell and across all cells as well, and it modulates many components of the cell, particularly regarding its environment and the stress of the cell, and it changes that response to how the cell is as well. In terms of cancer, it actually promotes many facets of tumorigenesis and cancer cell survival, including things like metastasis. In essence, BAX inhibitor 1 actually regulates the progression of the cancer itself. So what is our therapeutics doing? How does this look? Well, MQ Therapeutics actually induce cell death in vitro across all tested cancers. That's right, for us, within 24 hours, we were killing 100% of all breast, uterine, and ovarian cancers, irrespective of their genotype or phenotype. We take the example here, we can see that with the basal A MCF7 cell line, which is a breast cancer cell line, we were killing 100% of that within 24 hours and having no effect on non-cancerous cells, as shown by the MCF10A. So how are we doing this? Primarily through 3 modalities of BAX inhibitor 1. We're significantly upregulating calcium release and significantly upregulating the cytosolic ROS levels as well. Both of those are so important for the cell's stress and also cell survival. We're also regulating the cytoskeleton of the cell, allowing it to collapse in on itself. In fact, if we look inside animal models, when we've given for mice those breast cancer models for MCF7 at basal A, or a triple negative breast cancer cell line like the 231, following 7 daily injections of MicroQuinn's therapeutics, we can get rid of 100% of that cancer within a month, as shown in the graph below. Essentially, we found that we're actually being curative with our therapeutics when looking at animal models as well. Where are we at? We've just completed all of our pharmacokinetic work. We've done our efficacy work as well, and we're progressing to those GMP and the GLP and pharmacodynamic assessment as well. At the same time, we'll still be expanding our pipeline out and looking at how we can help across viral diseases as well as neurodegenerative. And in terms of the work with NASA, that's actually around our small molecule program, which we're working alongside Harvard to create a variety of small molecules for Braxton inhibitor 1 to create new assets as well to potentially treat new diseases. I'm Scott Robinson, and I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Q&A. What do we got? All right, Marion.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. Aligned with the previous questions, what is your next steps in terms of added value for, I think, for pharmaceutical companies that can be interesting in this kind of product? So what is your next steps and what are you looking for?
Hi, Marianne. Hopefully you can hear me. We're actually under an exclusivity contract with a former CEO of a large pharmaceutical company. And so we don't need any investment. He's actually fully funding us all the way through to the end of clinical trial stage 1. So he's actually committed all of that capital through the end of that. Really, it's not until we get into clinical trials that we'll be looking to do a partnership of some sort, maybe with a large pharmaceutical company to obviously utilize their skills and expertise for progression through the difficult pathway that is clinical trials. In terms of what we can offer, I mean, like I said there from our presentation, I think our therapeutic is quite unique in that the toxicity is actually just non-existent from what we've observed in animal models. And essentially with our secondary animal model, which we haven't started, and that's where we'll kind of build out that tox assessment again. And it looks like we can certainly beat anything out there when it comes to treatment. I mean, if you look at things like Herceptin, it's not curative at all. It's merely just to help reduce the progression of the disease and actually work alongside as a combination therapy. So we would essentially be a monotherapy, which I simply don't think exists for those type of cancers.
Okay, I think, Javier, did you have a question?
Yeah, my question, I think I was reading here, it's almost answered. I don't know if you said that. I was wondering what kind of drug it is. It's an antibody.
It is a peptide, which everyone kind of hates. The reason is because peptides tend to be slightly more complex. I used to work for GlaxoSmithKline as a protein biochemist, so I'm extremely familiar with them. But it's around about 16 amino acids long, and essentially has a unique targeting sequence that allows it to highly selectively go towards cancers and actually internalize in cancers as well. So there's actually 2 technologies. I just didn't talk about one of the because it's quite complex. But yeah, it's a very small peptide that we can make very, very quickly because we can do something called fast peptide synthesis. So essentially it's just chemical synthesis that you produce very, very quickly. So we can get a lot out in a very short period.
Okay, quick question, Sarah. I know you had your hand up.
Yes, my question is about the funding. How much do you estimate you need to complete the process? And so far, how has the project been funded? Because it's a really costly process.
It certainly is. I mean, I received no personal funding myself. A while back, I came up with the idea over 10 years ago. I actually worked in investment banking to fund it myself all the way through preclinical. So I worked in investment banking for Morgan Stanley, funded myself all the way through, got a couple of my friends in. So we funded it up to the stage now. I just secured an investor from America in April in 2019. And unfortunately, like I said, I can't talk too much about that because I'm under an exclusivity agreement with them, but they're fully funding everything up to the end of stage 1 for clinical trials. Beyond that, then we'll start to have to do a Series A really and raise a significant amount of capital. So really, I think once, probably in the next 4 or 5 years, we'll start going out there and getting a lot more cash, hopefully, and we'll need probably around 30 to 50 million really to get into phase 2. But
Okay.
we're good until then.
Okay, thank you. So I hope you got the same thing I learned from that if you're an investment banker, you can not only become an entrepreneur, but you can fund your startup. All right, let's move along. We got one more to go, and this one's from Spain. They have a medical chat that provides specialized attention of a doctor at any time of the day. The person representing this company is Bruno Cuevas, who's the co-founder and CEO, and they're from Spain. Join me in welcoming our last startup today, Mediquo.
Hi, I'm Bruno Cuevas, co-CEO and co-founder of Mediquo. 3-minute pitch.
Let's go. Medico is a hospital in your pocket. We are a chat-based telehealth mobile app with over 1 million consultations and 600,000 app downloads. We are already one of the top telehealth apps in Spain and LATAM. The problem today is that 75% of the medical visits are unnecessary to be taken face-to-face. Also, most health professionals already use WhatsApp or other instant messaging services to communicate with either patients or other health professionals. We want to change that. Our solution is a GDPR compliant tool, chat-based and video permitted. We provide medical history, B2B and B2C communities, instant medical response and phone privacy, all in a one-stop shop wherever and whenever. Super simple solution. Why now? Well, instant messaging is already the mainstream communication all across the world. And online search for health purposes is also pretty much used by everybody. We, with an asynchronous communication chat-based tool, bring continuity of care for the patient. Then we also increase efficiency, therefore lowering the costs in healthcare. And our solution, not being video-based, has higher engagement, higher activity and community, and we have continuity of data. What's the product like? It's a single platform and it's 2 apps, one for patients, one for pros. Super simple user experience catered for both. The market is huge, 277 billion worldwide in mHealth and telehealth, and these are pre-COVID numbers. We are here to grab that. There are other players, of course, but none do what we do. Being a telehealth and a SaaS marketplace player is the only thing that differentiates us from all the rest. We also don't depend on public health administrations like others. We are here to substitute the use of WhatsApp in telemedicine. This is the biggest telehealth company in the world. We have proven traction in both user growth and monetization. And of course, this big growth is now tailwind by the global pandemic, as you can imagine. Our business model has 4 lines. 1 is the 24/7 instant medical response. Number 2, B2B and B2C communities. Number 3, it's the SaaS communication, video, audio, and chat permitted. And then a pure marketplace. Our team is the best one to do it. My co-CEO, Dr. Guillem Serra, he's a medical doctor and a mathematician. I'm a marketplace expert. I have launched, operated, and managed marketplaces in 16 countries across the world. Judith, the CPO, she's responsible for the success of Wallapop in Spain. And David George, he has 3 patients in connectivity and productivity. He's our CTO. And we have advisors from the health ecosystem in Spain. Our ambition is global and we are here to win. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Q&A.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Imran.
Yeah, just one. You mentioned it's obviously it's Imran Franks of Venture Partners. Clearly, it's a crowded space. You seem to be doing something right with attraction, but just help make that a bit more tangible for us. Why would the people on both sides of the platform be picking you over some of these others that are out there?
Okay, thanks for the question, Imran. I mean, main differentiation is we use an asynchronous communication. Okay, we are based on this and we are purely mobile. Others that have come into the space have started it with video or in a web-based solution, and that's kind of a legacy they have to tackle. Being an asynchronous communication, gets this continuity of care, continuity of data, and activation, instant activation of the patient. This is something that is really differential to others. Also, our product is catered for patients and professionals. The rest of the health ecosystem can work with us. We're not substituting anybody, but we don't depend either on public administrations, private hospitals, or insurance. This will also be part of our ecosystem once we agree with them on how to collaborate.
Okay. We had some more questions here. You want to raise your hand unless you've got the... Okay, Marion.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I understand that you're independent, not to, for example, public hospitals. So I was wondering how you managed to link the answers or the recommendation you gave to the patients to the historical of the patients within the hospitals, and so all the physicians are accepting your app for the patients instead of giving their feedback.
Yeah, that's a good question. So since the start we thought about this product for scalability. right? So what we're bringing when it comes into integrations with the hospital systems, etc., we're bringing the APIs to be able to connect them properly. We don't want to be specific individual integrators. We're thinking big, right? We want everybody to be able to cater to this solution.
All right, do we have a last question? Yes, Marielle?
Okay, I would like to ask you, this is Marielle from Mafre Digital Health. I would like to ask you, what have you thought to get users recurrently go back to your application? Because is there only the solution for when I'm sick, I go, I ask my question and then I leave and never more? Or what have you thought? And related to that, also, what happens when the user needs physical consultation?
Okay.
A real one.
So both answers both questions are connected, and the answer is the same. We believe that the physical doctor and the digital doctor should be the same. Okay, so that's what we're providing with the SaaS solution. Your doctor will invite you and tell you, instead of using WhatsApp as we're doing today, let's use Medicool. Okay, so basically it will be that same doctor that treats you. On top of that, we have another business line, which is immediate response. I've got an urgent need to have an answer right now. And there, in that case, we provide you also a pool of professionals that can give you an answer within 2 minutes. Okay, but our aim is that the physical doctor and the digital doctor become one.
Okay, final question, Sarah. Sarah Pedraz.
Oh, sorry. My question is about the competition, because you compete with a lot of digital health solutions like the ones that Sanitas, Mafre, and some other insurance companies are launching. What's your relation with that? How are you going to operate in that environment?
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah. So the main difference is, the health insurances are playing or are trying to play in closed ecosystems. Right? Their doctors should use their app, their patients should use their app. We are thinking that, given doctors work with several insurances or several private hospital groups, or maybe even in public healthcare, we need to provide them with a solution that caters for everybody. So when it comes into how to play with those insurance, we're not playing against them. We're actually playing with them. We will give them the solution to integrate with them, and at the same time being able to give them our own pool of patients, okay, to bring them the digital consultations or even the physical patients that are close to them.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, that brings to an end our pitches. But before we ask Maria to come back and actually tell us who the winners are, we have our keynote closing address. Our keynote speaker is Martin Varsavsky. He is the founder and executive chairman of Prelude Fertility, a true entrepreneur who has been a very successful entrepreneur here in Spain for many years. Join me in welcoming Martin Varsavsky, who's going to talk about how to use technology to deal with COVID-19. Martin, the word is yours.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm reporting here from the island of Menorca, where I came quite before the lockdown, because I actually had a pandemic plan, which surprises many. And I had a plan because I was concerned about pandemics. It wasn't my first concern. I have also another nuclear war plan that includes a farm in Uruguay. So it's not that I think these things will happen all the time, but I think they may happen. And if you can in your life, it's good to have plans. So when I first saw COVID as an enemy, I was trying to figure out what could I possibly do as a tech entrepreneur to help fight COVID. So my background is that I'm a failed doctor. I studied and I dropped out and never became a doctor. I'm a failed immunologist. I studied a year of immunology at Columbia University, but didn't become one. But I am a pretty successful entrepreneur, and I love healthcare. And I also study a lot of things by myself. And so the president of the state of Madrid asked me to lead a group to develop an app to stop the spread of the pandemic. And I had to be a quick learner. I mean, nobody knew anything about COVID, neither did I. Now when they call me on, I appear on TV as an expert, I'm like an expert in the sense that I read a lot about it in the last 3 months. But I am an entrepreneur, and the app was built in 5 days with a group of other great entrepreneurs from companies like CartoDB and Force Manager and Mendes Altaren and Ferrovial and Telefonica. And we put together a group and we built an app that's been used by millions of people in 5 days, right? So it is very interesting when you have that entrepreneurial drive and you create something like Corona Madrid, which is now an app that has many names for many comunidades. And so it was thanks to this app that I started seeing that the pandemic was not as bad as people thought it was. It was terrible in terms of contagiousness. Like in that sense, it was incredibly contagious. And to the point that, according to Google, Spain is the country that has had the most obedience to the lockdown. I know Spaniards love to think they're not obedient people. They're the most obedient people in the world, according to Google, in terms of how well they respected the confinement. But we have the paradox that we're the country with the most obedient people, the ones whose mobile phones moved around the least. But we're also the country with the most deaths per million, only overtaken recently by Belgium. But probably the truth is that Belgium and Spain are around the same, is that Belgium counts any death that is questionable as COVID, and we count COVID deaths as people who've been diagnosed with COVID. So we may be the world champions in deaths per million, which is pretty sad, but we're also the world champions in confinement. So we've been the most obedient. It's sort of like we're like the students who studied the most and got the worst grade, right? It kind of makes you think, is this illness really stoppable? So I started 2 months ago thinking we're going to build an app that's going to trace all contacts and it's going to be used to stop the pandemic, as New Zealand has done. By the way, the island of Menorca has done that too. But it seems that after the pandemic took off of a certain scale, like in New York, like in Milan, in Madrid, in Paris, in London, it becomes quite unstoppable, right? So after realizing that the pandemic was extremely contagious, the second conclusion was this is really not that lethal, that this pandemic is not 10% of those who get it die, as the government reports, for example, 250,000 diagnosed and 23,000 dead. We're probably 20 million who have been exposed. Probably people listening to me right now, many of them are seropositive, antibody positive. And so then came the second realization, which is, as a tech entrepreneur, you say, well, what is the world going to look like with and after COVID? So my children are of COVID. So what I'm telling you is that it's data that made me feel different. Why am I now arguing that schools should reopen and life should go on as normal? And why am I going to give you a very encouraging commentary here to the great entrepreneurs who presented before, which is that the world will go back to normal as opposed to everything you're hearing. And maybe there'll be a few leftovers, like after 9/11, and when we thought Bin Laden was going to blow up a nuclear plant and a super tanker and everything, and then Bin Laden got lucky once, and then we killed him, right? And I think this pandemic is not a sign, is not a revenge from nature, is not a sign that everything is going to hell. It's not a pandemic that will have many other pandemics after. Yes, there'll be pandemics, like there was terrorism. It's not that terrorism ended with Bin Laden, but there was never anything as big as bringing down the Twin Towers. And I think what we're experiencing now, which is as big as it's going to get. So how bad is it? How bad is what we're going through? It's horrible for every person who dies, and it's pretty bad for those who almost die. But in terms of numbers, even in the country with the most COVID in the world, smoking kills more people, either passively or actively. 56,000 people die every year in Spain out of smoking. And 420,000 people die in Spain every year, where there's 47 million people. Only 900 people 60 or younger have died of COVID. It's bad, it's terrible, but there's many other things that kill many more than 900 people. COVID is not going to kill as many people as cancer for 1 year, and cancer kills every year. COVID will probably kill a third of the people who die of cancer. So I don't want to minimize the situation, but at a school of entrepreneurship, where I have taught entrepreneurship, and where I believe that part of teaching entrepreneurship is teaching people there is a future, and there is a future that you, the entrepreneur, can shape. There is a future that is going to be different and better thanks to you, the entrepreneur. So I wouldn't make plans for a very different world. I think we're using digital means to help people handle the pandemic, like the apps that we built. We're using diagnostic assays, ELISA tests, antibody tests, PCR tests. Now we're working on CRISPR-based tests. So we will have good testing. We're not there yet, but we have good apps, we'll have good testing. And then the next two steps are treatments and vaccines, or a vaccine. As far as treatments are concerned, there are many under study. I am more optimistic there'll be a treatment than a vaccine, because a treatment is tested on those who are sick, and a vaccine is tested on those who are healthy. It's much more dangerous to test a vaccine. Obviously, when people are dying, they give you more leeway on what you can try on them. So I think a treatment may come sooner than a vaccine. But even if we don't get a treatment or a vaccine, we may get what the Swedish are proposing, which is herd immunity, which got a terrible name because of Boris Johnson, who then got COVID, and everybody said herd immunity doesn't work. But actually, Boris Johnson is a very good example of how bad this can be. But what happens to people under 70 who get this illness, which is they tend to have a very bad time. Well, most of them don't even notice, but some have a bad time. And so Sweden is going for herd immunity. Sweden never closed schools, never closed restaurants, never closed gyms. My recommendation to Instituto de Empresa is to reopen. Schools are reopening in France on May 11th. I imagine Instituto de Empresa is not going to reopen, but I think that people under 40 have very little to worry about COVID. And of course, yes, some people, some professors are much older than that. But when I look at the stats, which I have in front of me, and I'm a data-driven person, and I see that this whole pandemic has killed 50.
Okay, I think we're having a connection problem there with Martin. Yeah, I think we are. This is Madrid calling Menorca. Do you hear me? I think we got a connection problem with... Martin, do you want to try to connect again?
Hello?
Okay, we got you. Can you continue?
Did you stop? Did you hear some of what I said or nothing?
No, we heard everything. Just the last 30 seconds.
Very good. I'm glad.
Yes, don't worry. We got it all.
I would have been disappointed. Well, I was just my closing statement. I was saying that if you're an entrepreneur, move on with your companies. The world will be a better place than it is today. And I don't think this will last beyond the end of the year. So continue building your great companies because there is a bright future ahead.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, with those words of optimism, now we go to the final part of this competition, whereas we find out who the winner is. Now, before we find out who the winner is, we're going to find out who's in third place, second place, and then the winner. And I'm going to let Maria, partner, are you there? Maria.
Hello?
Yes. Okay. So, Maria,
we are just excited to find out who are the winners, but we need just 1 sec, and I think that here we are going to announce just the winner, and afterwards everyone is going to know who are the second and the third. But the one we are going to tell now is the winner. And the winner, this is the best, is going to be one of the 100 finalists that will go to South Summit this year from the 6th to the 8th and will pitch in front of more than 1,200 investors and lots of companies and lots of people just to make lots of business. And the winner, this is the moment, the winner is Medixen.
Medixen. Okay, Medixen is the winner. Can we have a few words from Medixen, please? And why don't you remind us, Medixen?
Thank you.
If you remember, Medixen is a needle-free smart patch for painless drug delivery through the skin. And we have here Eduardo Jorgensen, the CEO. Few words, please, Eduardo.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. We're thrilled to participate. We took part of South Summit in 2015, a long time ago, and we've grown a lot. So we're very, very happy. Thank you very much.
A big
We won't
applause to
disappoint.
you. Congratulations, and we will see you in South Summit in October. This is great. But first we have the closing. I want to thank Martin. You've been absolutely great, and congratulations, and many thanks for have developed the app for the COVID. It has been really incredible, useful for everyone. And thank you very much for your talk. And thank you very much to Mario Alonso for its talk. That was marvelous too. And thank you to everyone. Congratulations to all the startups. You've been great. Your pitches have been great. And congratulations. And thank you very much to the investors, to SoftBank, Inverready, to AngelList, to AXA Venture, to Axel, Licious, Northern, Environment. We will publish all the different funds and the different companies, Lilly, Novartis, Nestlé, Bimbo, Merck, MIT, Sanitas, Lanzadera, Google for Entrepreneurs, Decathlon, Saber, Mafre Startup, Be Startup, and Rivera Salud, and Swamp Lab, and Till 25. Really, thank you very much to all of you. And Paris, thank you very much. You've been great. It's been it's been a great experience. It's also the beginning of all of our series of different challenges and how we are going to reinvent ourselves. And this, what we have shown is that we can do many things, and we can make relations and business through digital, just as if we work together and networking together. And today we've had the challenge of health and well-being. And it has been just at the same date that we were going to do it at Valencia. And I want to tell Valencia that is an incredible city, that we will be there soon when this pandemic allows us to be there. But we will be there in La Marina, and I'm sure that all of us will be together. So thank you very much, and Paris, your turn.
Okay, so are we going to announce who the runner-ups were, second and third place?
No, I think we are going to give it afterwards.
Okay, all right, good. So with that, I think we've a big thank you to all the jury members from some of the big movers and shakers.
Excuse me, Paris. Excuse me. We have the second and the third one, and I think that we can share it with them.
Let's do that.
So, yeah. The second one is Microkin from USA.
Okay, that's second place or third? Is that second place, Maria? Maria, your microphone. Mute. Microphone. We can't hear you.
The Paris, you have there the startups.
Yes.
From USA is the second one, and Austria is the third one.
Okay, I think we have two from Austria, right? So Microquin is in second place, and third place is Phagomed. Congratulations, Microquin and Phagomed, second and third place. Excellent. Okay, so I think we're just about ready to bring this event to a close. But before that, we want to give the word to Nacho Mateo, who has been instrumental in making this thing happen. Nacho, those of you that may know him, he's head of investor relations here at IE Business School in the Entrepreneurship Center, and he's also been working very closely with Maria in South Summit for many years in the past. So now we have a minute with Nacho.
Thank you very much, Paris, for your kind words. On behalf of IE University, I want to start congratulating the winner of the startup competition, super well deserved, and also the other 7 entrepreneurs that have pitched today during the competition. You guys did an amazing job, and I'm very proud of what you have done today. At IE University, we always promote the entrepreneurial mindset within our students, as entrepreneurship is one of the 4 core values of our institution. And I'm sure that today you guys have been an inspiration for those students that are watching this event online right now. I would like to stress that you guys are now part of the IE family. So please count on the help from the IE Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center. We will help you in anything you may need during your entrepreneurial path. So count on us for anything. I also want to thank all the people involved in the organization of this pioneer initiative, not only the South Summit team and the IE teams that have been working together, but also the top speakers that we have had, Martin Barsavsky, Mario Alonso, our incredible MC, Professor Paris de la Trath, and all the investors and executives that have been participating as part of the jury during the startup competition. Actually, it's very inspiring to see how the entrepreneurial ecosystem is stick together in such a unique situation that we are living these days. And I have to say that I feel very proud of working together with this amazing community that we are. And I just want to finish thanking all the online attendees that are happy watching this event. I hope you guys enjoyed the first e-challenge, but not the last one actually. We are planning another 5 e-challenges, 1 per week. Actually, the next one will be next week on May 6th, and will be about data and connectivity. So I aim you to join us in the next e-challenge to register online. And just want to thank all of you for your time today and hope to see you next week. Thank you very much, and I give you back the connection, Paris.
Okay, thanks, Nacho. Well, with that, I want to close. I think today has shown us that we are coming back, and in a big way. These series of events are going to be disruptive, as you saw today. So with that, I welcome you to join us again next week. And a wish that I leave all of you with. I hope you all have plenty of antibodies going forward. Thank you very much for joining us today. Everybody, it was great to see you. Thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. Hope to see you back here, some of you next week. And, you know, we are always very grateful for the support that all of you have given South Summit for the last few years. Right, Maria?
Of course. Thank you very much, Paris. Really great. Hope to see you next week here on the 6th for connectivity, the 12th with mobility, and in the different weeks ahead with education, fintech.
Okay. Juanjo, you want to say a parting word here on your way out? Juanjo. Last word on your way out here.
Thank you very much for everything, Paris. You did an amazing job. You all did an amazing job.
All right, everybody. See you soon.
Very much. See you soon. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.